Good evening and welcome to The Frame, an initiative of Access Framingham. My name is Brendan Fitzpatrick. We start tonight with a review of Super Tuesday as the official results from the primary elections locally are in. The city clerk's office shows that nearly 12,000 voters in Framingham, or about 28% of the approximately 43,000 residents who are registered to vote, took part in Tuesday's primaries. About 7,800 voted on the Democratic ballot, while nearly 4,000 submitted a Republican ballot and 101 opted for a Libertarian ballot. The contest for Framingham Democratic Committee was the most notable race locally on Tuesday, as over 50 candidates across a pair of coalitions, named Group 1 and Group 2, were eligible for one of the 35 seats in the group, which aims to support the Democratic Party at the local, state, and national levels. Voters were not restricted to picking just one group or the other. They could mix and match their allocation of 35 selections. Official results show that Group 1 emerged victorious, with 3,350 votes compared to Group 2's tally of 1,249. All 34 members of Group 1 were elected onto the FDC, with the final spot going to Group 2 member Priscilla Souza, the state representative for the 6th Middlesex District. She secured just over 2,000 tallies to clinch the 35th seat. On the national level, there were no big surprises, as President Joe Biden and former President Donald Trump got the most votes in Framingham within their parties for the presidential primaries. Biden got about 6,500 votes in the city on Super Tuesday, while 558 residents voted no preference. Only one other Democratic candidate, Dean Phillips, reached the 300-vote mark in Framingham. On the GOP ballot, Trump defeated former governor of South Carolina Nikki Haley in Framingham by a count of 2,025 to 1,793. Following Haley's announcement on Wednesday that she has suspended her campaign, Trump is left as the presumptive GOP nominee for president. 61 of the 101 Libertarian ballots had either no preference or a write-in candidate selected for president. Meanwhile, all of the Democratic and Republican state committee races for the Middlesex and Norfolk district went uncontested. FDC Group 1 member and state representative for the 7th Middlesex district, Jack Patrick Lewis, as well as Hopkinton Select Board member Mary Jo Lafreniere, were chosen for the Democratic State Committee, while Natick resident Nicholas Maselli and Medway resident Leanne Euros Harris were voted as state committee man and woman for the Republican Party, respectively. More work on recommended changes to the Framingham Home Rule Charter was carried out by the city's Charter Review Committee during a meeting last Thursday. The group started to vote on proposed changes to Articles 2 and 6 of the Charter, as the documents will be passed on to the City Council in a few months. No changes have officially been made at this time. Article 6 was first on the agenda. That part deals with financial and fiscal matters within the city. Some of the committee's suggestions included adding a preamble at the beginning of the section, which would ensure in writing that financial transparency and accessible records are available for residents. New details on planning the city's operating budget each year were also proposed, with the process involving a public hearing following a review from the mayor and the city council. David Magnani, a member of the Charter Review Committee and former state rep and senator, said that giving residents a chance to voice their thoughts on the operating budget prior to the start of each fiscal year is vital.
As a citizen, I haven't had anybody ever ask me what I think the city should be spending its money on. And I feel like some form of open solicitation, whether it's a public hearing or some other mechanism, prior to the city council making its proposal to the mayor. I don't know what the language ought to look like, but it does feel like there ought to be some mechanism for that.
Each member of the Charter Review Committee who was present for Thursday's meeting voted in favor of the Article 6 changes that were suggested. Propositions to Article 2, which addressed the legislative branch in Framingham, included having the first business day in January become the start of terms on the City Council, as opposed to New Year's Day, as well as the stipulation that City Council members cannot hold another elected position in the city government simultaneously. The Charter Review Committee recommended that if a council member for a specific district moves to another district or out of Framingham entirely within the first 18 months of their term, the seat should be considered vacant, and a special election would be held to fill out the rest of the term. Article 2 will be revisited during the committee's next meeting. Residents are being asked by Mayor Charlie Sisitsky to join both the city's Strategic Initiatives and Financial Oversight Committee, or SIFOC, as well as the Framingham 2030 Committee. SIFOC, which advises the mayor, city council, school committee, and other municipal leaders on the city's long-term financial outlook, is in need of people to fill their at-large, finance, and local business seats. The deadline for those first two seats is Saturday, March 16th, while the deadline for the local business seat is May 15th. Meanwhile, 21 residents aged 21 to 35 make up the Framingham 2030 Committee. The group works to develop community engagement, communicate the interests of young people to the city government, and provide a voice in municipal matters for younger residents. Applications for both of these groups can be found on framinghamma.gov/serve. A public hearing on Framingham's proposed community electricity program will be taking place next Thursday, March 14th. City officials have been working to create a program for electricity aggregation. It would aim to purchase renewable energy collectively for Framingham's supply, as residents and business owners could be offered competitive and steady prices. The hope is to launch the program later in 2024. It's worth noting that the community electricity program would not replace Eversource outright as the city's electricity utility provider. Services would still be offered by Eversource to those who opt in, though the company would calculate charges through the program. The Massachusetts Department of Public Utilities initially approved the plan last year, as the state also received the aggregation plan earlier this month. The public hearing will start virtually at 2 p.m., and public comments will be accepted. Written comments can be submitted to the DPU as well. The deadline to do so is March 14th at 5 p.m. More details on the public hearing, as well as the Framingham Community Electricity Plan as a whole, can be found at www.masspowerchoice.com/Framingham. A reminder to you now that you can find more details on these stories you see tonight on our website, www.theframe.news. From need-to-know updates to community events and social feeds, you can stay in the loop with us. Be sure to subscribe to our email newsletter as well to have the Frame's offerings sent straight to you, and let your family, friends, and neighbors know about the new source for local news. Also, if you've got a tip for us, you can give us a call to 508-216-0003, or you can send an email to theframe@accessfram.tv. We're going to step aside for a moment, but when we return, a spotlight on some of the incredible murals you can find around Framingham. We spoke with the artists about their inspirations, process, and more. Stick around. The Frame will be right back.
I've always been told I gotta be strong. Thick skin, tough as nails. But to be everything for everybody, it wears on you. Black don't crack, they say. But it can. We all can. Reach out to a friend if you see them going through it. No matter who you are, being vulnerable is what makes us whole. Learn how to help at seizetheawkward.org.
Adding your own flavor to fashion comes with age.
Okay, Dad, look at you.
Forgetting how to add doesn't. Learn the warning signs of Alzheimer's. Some things come with age, some others don't.
Welcome back in, as it's now time for our weekly focus. Framingham is home to several beautiful murals. Now, delighting in the eye-catching designs is one thing, but what about the meaning behind them and the artists who created them? The Frame's Mackenzie Wright caught up with the creatives behind two murals in particular, celebrating the Sudbury River at the river floodgates in Saxonville, as well as the We Are Here mural located at the Amazing Things Art Center downtown. Our story begins in Saxonville with artists Mia and Lena. Their close relationship led to the creation of a mural that honors the connection between the Sudbury River and the life it supports around it. We caught up with them to learn more via Zoom, as their work has since taken them out of state.
Seeing people who may not encounter your work ordinarily in, say, a gallery setting, seeing like all types of people from all demographics interact with your work is like a really, really beautiful experience as an artist. Art for all, public art is the way.
Working large just has a big impact and you can't ignore it, and it's fun. Whenever I do a public art piece, I'm just like, wow, this is way more special. Because you just get to like every day meet people who you're impacting. We've always wanted to do a mural together. And then our work sort of aligns naturally, like comes together in nature and like figure and abstract color. And then the fact that the project was literally two different sides of the road was like, okay, perfect. You have a wall, I have a wall. Let's design things that sort of bounce off of each other, but can still speak to like our unique visions right now.
I think both of us have sort of like a spiritual connection to nature in our work, and kind of think of things poetically. And the river is just a beautiful allegory of, you know, letting go of things in life, and things flow in and things flow out. I used to work at the Saxonville Mills for a few years. I had a studio there, and I would go behind the building into the river there, and just kind of like the feeling of being there is what I wanted to portray.
As much as it was about nature, it was also just about people, and like these are the people that will have to protect the river, and these are the people that live around the river. So for me, like I knew I really wanted to do a figure. I painted Lena, and I was like, okay, perfect. This is someone who is, you know, from the community. I just had her be a lovely lady interacting with the birds on the river.
At least for me, I hope some people like really plug in and really get it and just clicks with them. And like, I've definitely had those moments like, oh my gosh, and I feel this. And I think even if I get one person for each piece I make, it's like completely worth it.
Especially for public art, it's just the magic of coming upon something you didn't expect. And in that moment of giving someone pause and like reflection.
I feel like art just touches people's hearts immediately. It's an immediate feeling. It gets people thinking, gets people talking, like the thought process behind it, why the location, why now, you know? I just feel like it starts conversations.
I've witnessed people walk by and kind of just stop, like on the sidewalk there, and just kind of be like taken away from it, and then they turn their head a little bit. Initially, the lens came from the frustrations the youth were feeling in our community, specifically after George Floyd. There was a lot of marches in our community that were really led by the youth and the teens, and in different spaces. But after that, there was a lot of push to kind of say that they're being seen, but the youth were not feeling like they were seen.
It's from all of us. It's like from all the youth. It's like from all that we were feeling and all that we're still feeling in the community, in the world. The idea was approached to us, and they were like, we're doing a mural, and what we wanted to be in the mural, it was, for me personally, it was like, wow, like people are listening. They care about what we think. They care about our ideas. And then when I was able to get like the side profile of what I wanted to put into the mural that was my own, and my own like voice to project out there, it was also like even more of like a I matter, my voice matters.
I just took what the input from the youth and what they thought of. It started with first just an image, kind of like what we wanted the image to say, and what we wanted the viewer to kind of like take from it. And then from then on, actual putting words and dialogue on the piece, and just something that's like kind of would have people or the viewer stand in front of it and kind of really spark a conversation. I think specifically like this area, this part of like downtown, there's so many different cultures and different like cultures meshing together, which is kind of like where we got the whole idea for like the quote pattern in the background. These different pieces coming together and being one, and I think that's seen a lot more and more in this part of the city.
I've heard instances where people come here to, when they feel down, to lift themselves up and just feel a sense of themselves, really. And that's a really good benefit from this mural. I feel like anyone can come down here and just take a look and feel inspired and feel influenced and empowered.
It was the team at Discovering Hidden Gems, or DHG, that created the We Are Here mural. DHG is a community within Framingham dedicated to supporting the quality of life for youth through recreational and educational experiences. They invite you to get involved and continue their mission of ensuring all youth voices feel heard. You can learn more about DHG by visiting their website at discoveringhiddengems.org, or you can send an email to info@discoveringhiddengems.org. They also have a multimedia book available inspired by this mural that includes coloring, journaling, and more. You can reach out to them if you're interested in getting a copy. And it's also worth noting that you have probably seen other murals around the city that have been created by a few of these artists. For example, also at ATAC, Lena created the pop of color you see at the garage doors of the building. And if you've been to Jack's Abbey or Clinton Street, the large-scale, colorful mural that covers the side of their beer hall is the work of Mia. We'd love to hear from you on social media if you do come across some of these brilliant murals. We're on Instagram as well as X. The handle for both is @FrameNews_. Follow us there for daily updates. You can also subscribe to the Access Framingham channel on YouTube. Hit the bell icon there to be notified when new episodes of the program go live each week. You can also find us on Facebook just by searching for The Frame. Shifting gears to our weather outlook, as the weekend and the official start of spring are both approaching. The forecast calls for sunshine on Friday, breezy as well, with highs around 50 degrees and lows around 30. A slight chance of showers on Saturday after 5 p.m. Otherwise, cloudy skies, then with highs in the mid-40s and lows in the upper 30s. Expect more rain moving into Saturday night with the possibility of thunderstorms early Sunday morning. Rain should continue on Sunday, mainly prior to 2 in the afternoon, with patchy fog early on as well. Windy conditions on Sunday, gusts could top out to around 35 miles an hour, with highs in the mid-50s and lows in the low 30s. Coming up next on The Frame, Framingham High School's Environmental Awareness Club is planning on making a major contribution locally. Plus, your annual reminder to spring ahead this weekend. All of that and more after the break.
The Frame is looking for a new face to anchor the local newscast from the Access Framingham TV studio, which is where I'm at right now. But we want a real person to fill this space, not me. As good looking as I am, imagine your face here. To best reach all of Framingham, we'd like someone that speaks Portuguese. If you live in Framingham and care about your community, get in touch today.
Welcome back. Let's see what else is happening in our community, as the Framingham High School Environmental Awareness Club will be making a big difference on April 6th, as they're partnering with the nonprofit organization Treeplenish to plant nearly 300 saplings across the city. Eastern redbuds, red maple, and yellow poplars are being planted by the group after receiving donations from community members. The club is planting 293 saplings in order to offset 75% of the paper usage at Framingham High School. Treeplenish's mission is to empower high schoolers nationwide to make their environments more sustainable and eco-friendly. Massachusetts Bay Community College, meanwhile, held a book signing on Tuesday at their Framingham campus as Bill Rayner showcased his memoir, Why Black Men Nod at Each Other, Some Lessons and Observations on Life. A graduate of Dartmouth College and Antioch College, Rayner has spent more than 4 decades in higher education, holding roles such as Mass Bay's Chief Diversity Officer, Special Assistant to the President, and Athletic Director. His memoir outlines his experiences in life as a black man and encourages people to build common bonds.
And at the end of the day, we're all the same. We're all human beings. We're all trying to get through this world, and that the more we can break down the walls of ignorance, the more connected we can be, and hopefully the better we can be as people.
More details on the book can be found at www.raynerbooks.com. Checking back in on local sports now, as collegiate and high school tournaments continued this past week. Framingham State University's women's basketball team fell to the University of Scranton in the first round of the NCAA D3 tournament. The final score from last Friday was 60-39. It was still a great season for the Rams, though. They finished the regular season with a 22-2 record, the best in their conference, and secured their 3rd MASCAC title in 4 seasons. As for Framingham High School's girls basketball team, their season also came to a close Tuesday night, following a close game. They fell to Central Catholic in the second round of the MIAA D1 state tournament, 54-51, the final score. The Flyers could still hold their heads high following a 13-7 regular season and a postseason berth. Also, FHS's dance team took home the MSAA Hip Hop Dance State Championship this past Saturday. That earned them a spot in the regional finals up in Vermont. Congratulations to them and all of the other local athletes. And a reminder now that daylight saving time begins on Sunday, March 10th. Clocks will spring ahead at 2 a.m. that morning, so we'll be losing an hour of sleep, but the days will keep getting longer for the next few months. With that, the National Fire Protection Association is also advising homeowners to take the time to check that both their fire and carbon monoxide alarms are working when the clock changes. Smoke alarms with batteries that cannot be replaced are designed to last up to 10 years, but they should be swapped out entirely if they begin chirping. Otherwise, alarms with replaceable batteries need a new set at least once a year, according to the NFPA. That will be it for this week's edition of Framingham News in Focus. On behalf of everyone here at The Frame, thank you for spending time with us tonight. My name is Brendan Fitzpatrick. We'll talk to you next week. Take care.